Hello everybody, it's Niklas and welcome to this new video. We are in Taichung in Taiwan, and in this video I'm going to talk about what can be the disadvantages to be in Taiwan if you want to stay during a while. So it means if you want to come here not as a tourist, but at the same time not to stay in long term, so concretely to stay maybe 1 month, 2 months. And me, for example, I'm working remotely, and because I'm working remotely, this place is pretty decent, and I like to come in Taiwan and come 1 month, 2 months, and work remotely here is interesting place. And for different reasons, I like this place. I think there are many very nice advantages to be in Taiwan, and I'm going to tell you about few disadvantages that we can have if we are here. So first I'm going to cross the street on this area. So the first disadvantage is it's not easy to find accommodation. So concretely in some area, like for example in Southeast Asia, you can find accommodation easily. But in Taiwan it's difficult to find accommodation. I'm not going to talk about hotel. Okay, hotel it's okay, but if you want to rent something 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it's not easy as a foreigner. So concretely you can use little bit Airbnb, but in Taiwan you are not going to have many offer, many choice. There is me, for example, currently I'm on Airbnb, but it's not easy. So this is the first disadvantage. When you want to come here, you need to plan a little bit before. So you cannot come here and plan to find accommodation for 1 or 2 months only, maybe 1 week before. You need to plan little bit. It's possible, but you need to plan little bit. And me, when I choose to come here, before to take my flight, I choose the accommodation, and after that I take the flight. But when it's in Southeast Asia, it can be different. So first, it's not very easy to find accommodation for example, 1 month. So this is one of the first disadvantage. What type of disadvantage we can have? It is little bit some noise. So sometimes some people can say it's noisy in Taiwan. It depends about what is your base. But noisy, if you compare it depends what is your comparison. If you compare to Japan or North country, it can be little noisy. But if you compare to Southeast Asia, it's so much less noisy. So it's so much more noisy if you are on a big city in Thailand, or if you are on a big city in Vietnam, in comparison of a big city in Taiwan. So it's little noisy, but me, I stay many times in Thailand, sometimes little bit in Vietnam, and in my comparison it's less noisy here. But if you compare to some area, it's very different. Like if you compare to Europe or something like this, yes, it can be a little bit noisy, but for me it's not a big problem. Another problem which is real can be some pollution problem. It's not in all the places. Generally it's more during a specific season and more in specific areas. So generally the north of the country, like Taipei, you have less pollution problem. Generally it's okay in a general way. So this is the first. And you have more problem in the south, Kaohsiung, Tainan, and little bit in Taichung. I'm currently in Taichung, and sometimes you can have pollution problem, but it's not real during all years. It can start more in December, January, February, little bit in March, but generally the problem is December, January, February to have high pollution in some area in Taiwan. It's during these 3 months generally. And this is a fact. I went in Kaohsiung many times during the past. Many times I went to Kaohsiung, and I never had a problem in Kaohsiung from March till September till October. I never had any problem in Kaohsiung. And the only times where I go, it was in January 1 year, and I have a pollution problem. I have something wrong with me during 2 weeks because of Kaohsiung, and I stay during 1 week in a peak of pollution. It was very bad in January, in the beginning of January, and but it was high peak of pollution. It's not every time like this in January, but you can experiment sometimes days where if you don't wear something outside, it can be little problems. But it is. I stayed in Kaohsiung last year, this year. I stayed in Kaohsiung last year in March, April. Absolutely no problem for pollution. I stayed also in Kaohsiung before in June and July, no problem. I stayed also before in September, no problems. But I had one time a problem in January, and in fact the air was really bad during this moment in January. And I think in Taichung, here at this moment, don't experiment really these problems. But I think in January we can have also a little bit this problem. So concretely, you need to remember that in some area you can have pollution more during the season December, January, February. Normally outside of this season it's okay, but during this season you need to be careful in some area like Kaohsiung, Tainan, Taichung, I think also. And yes, that's the deal. Little bit less in Taipei, but maybe little also as well. So this is the other type of disadvantages. But one more time, you need to have the right information. If you have the right information, it's okay. If you have the right information, you want to make a lifestyle 1 to 3 months, I just advise you to not come in January here, for example, because or in Kaohsiung in January, because this type of problems. And you can have, as I explained before, the best season here concretely it's autumn and spring. But during the summer it's very hot, but you won't have pollution problems. So it's also this. So it is also something important to know. And the other disadvantages, but we cannot blame. It is like this. It's just that it's not. Taiwan is not a place built for tourists. It's not a place built for tourists like some area in Southeast Asia, like for example in Thailand, some area in Vietnam, sometimes in Indonesia, where you can find some places, not all the places, but places, very touristic place, built for tourists, where it's very easy if you are, for example, a foreigner, to have access of many different things, or just to talk in English, for example. So here it's not a country built for tourists. So this is the reason for which sometimes, yes, it can be difficult if you want to try to make connection, if you want to order food or anything like this, because the cultural language barrier. And the problem is, if you are not planning to settle in Taiwan or long term, or you work remotely like me, you are not going really to learn the language. Or you can learn little bit, but you are not going to learn deep, for a simple reason that you only come maybe 1-2 months sometimes, something like me. So it's difficult. And me, for example, I go in Thailand, I go in Vietnam, I go Taiwan, I go Japan. And if I started to learn all these languages are different. And I need to work already on my online business. It's big work. English is not my fluent language, so I have my native language first. English is my second language, and I'm currently talking a little bit Japanese, and I'm learning Japanese since more than 1-2 years. I'm learning Japanese, and I try to improve, but it's difficult, and I cannot speak my home language, speak English, try to speak Japanese, and after to speak Chinese. Very difficult. If you have only this to do, okay, but I don't have only this to do, so I have a lot of work online and cannot. So this is the reason for which I try to learn the language 1 hour every day, but I cannot spend all my time on this. So for this reason, if you are in a place like Taiwan here, if you are in a place like this, it's not extremely easy if you want to communicate. It's not for real beginners. So you can find little maybe isolated or something like this. for me, for example, it's definitely not a problem, because if I come here, it is one of the reasons, it is to sometimes get out of touristic place, get out of Southeast Asia touristic place, and to be very quiet in my bubble here. And it's very nice because nobody is going here to bother or to sell anything. People are very nice, very polite, so it's very peaceful. It's very peaceful to be here, and this is why I like to come here. This is why I like to come here, because it's big contrast with some touristic place in Southeast Asia, and because it's big contrast, I like to come in this type of area. So we are in the park in Taichung. Something great in this city is all the public parks. So you have public parks everywhere, and it's very convenient. And when you are in a public park, it's not really, some people say, if you are in public park, it's not very noisy. It's very, generally, it's not very noisy. Even for the traffic, we can talk about the traffic here, and it's not bad, it's okay. For me, it's definitely not a problem, and I'm going to explain why. I think the traffic is very good with all the motorbikes that you have here. I think it's the only country in the world where you can have all this motorbike and you can have all these rules on the street. You won't find anything. So for people who sometimes criticize here, first, you cannot compare. You cannot compare what is not comparable. So you cannot compare country in Europe or United States or Japan, because in this country you don't have motorbike. So if you don't have motorbike in this country, it's totally different. It's totally different. Here it's cultural. It's cultural. It's like in Southeast Asia, you have motorbike. But in this here, you have many places where you can park the motorbike. So for example, when you are like this, you have different places where you can park the motorbike. In every crossroad, you have specific area only for motorbike. So it means you have a specific area where people can turn with the motorbike only in some crossroad. You have the first line before the car where the motorbike can start. So you have really line and sign only for motorbike everywhere. And this is some rules that you find only here. I didn't see any, for example, in Southeast Asia, I didn't see any country with this type of rules. You don't have any sign like this on the street for the motorbike. So I think with all these motorbikes, the traffic is very good. After it's sure, if you compare with an area without motorbike, it looks messy. It can look little bit messy and not very safe in comparison of a country where you don't have motorbike. It's sure. If you compare a place with absolutely no motorbike, it looks not very safe on the road. But if you compare for a country with all this motorbike, it's decent. If you compare with some country, it's very, very decent. So it's better if less motorbike, it will be safer, but we'll see. So one more time, see the type of park that we can have here. It's very nice area. And something very great is that it's perfectly so safe, Taiwan. This is something that I like also so much. It's safe. So why I decide to come in this type of place in comparison of South America or anything like this, it's because it's very, very safe everywhere. Very, very safe everywhere. You can let your stuff, it's very nice. So you have some disadvantages, but not too much. So not too much. So for lifestyle, 1-2 months, sometimes it's very nice place. A small temple here also. Small temple. Here we are in the trendy area of Taichung. The trendy area is very nice also. There are many trendy shops, trendy place. Oh, Taichung is a very interesting city. At the first glance, maybe you won't feel little the potential of the city. Maybe you will feel like, I don't know how to explain. Maybe you will feel like Taichung is little boring or something like this and not many things to do. But if you continue the city, you explore the city, you start to have a lifestyle here. It's very nice place, very interesting place, decent place for different reasons. So we are going to stop here for this video. If you like, subscribe to these YouTube channels. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. First link on the description, I'm going to put my website with all my training courses because I'm online teacher, and second link on the description, my travel blog. And we are going to stop here in Taichung with this path. For next video, see you. Ciao, ciao.